No synonym for God is so perfect as beauty. John Muir. In April of 2021, I set out on an adventure that would shape lasting friendships and unforgettable memories. Meeting here along the rugged foundation of the San Rafael Swell, Rob from Revere Overland and his buddy Jeremy arrive in Rob's old 4Runner, where Adam from Trail Racks and I are waiting with his Gladiator and my Wrangler. What followed was an incredible journey I never thought I would be able to share. Most of it was shot on my iPhone 12 Pro, and I thought that I had ruined that footage forever. It's overexposed, discolored, and it has an ND filter error that left everything with a bizarre X pattern on the frame. At the time, I couldn't see past these mistakes, and I didn't know how to fix them. But now, as I've honed my editing skills, I feel like I'm ready to give this footage new life. This trip, one of my favorites before I sold Cool Rick, my 2019 Jeep Wrangler, holds more than just stunning views. It's the foundation of a couple of lasting friendships. It could be said that, much like the trails we seek, imperfections make a memory last longer. I hope you look past the technical flaws in my recording of this video and enjoy this adventure for what it really was: raw, authentic, and the beginning of something unforgettable. This episode of Local Lander is The Lost Swell, with routes and waypoints brought to you by Onyx Off-Road. Like all good off-road adventures, this one starts with an air-down routine. This trip is my very first trip meeting Rob from Revere Overland. He drove all the way out from Kentucky, and it was only fitting that I made the trip down from Salt Lake to the Swell to meet up with him. So why am I filming this trip on my iPhone? The simple answer is I was switching from Canon to Sony when Rob told me he was coming to Utah, and I didn't have my new camera yet. So I rigged up my iPhone with an anamorphic lens from Moment, and then I got a budget ND filter, which we will see in this video was a catalyst for a lot of lessons that I learned, a lot of hard lessons that I learned with this setup. Revisiting this old footage has me nostalgic for Cool Rick, my Wrangler. I have always felt like that Jeep was my favorite build. My wife and I talk about it all the time. It was just perfect. And while I have loved having the Gladiator to refine some of the decisions I made on the Wrangler, I still miss it. It wasn't overdone, and it was perfect for solo trips, well, just like this one, where the weather is good and the packing is minimal. If you want to learn more about my Jeep Wrangler build, check out this QR code or the build video that is linked down in the video description. Tires are aired down and we are rolling. And as we move closer to the canyon ahead, the scale of the San Rafael Reef sets in. This wall of rock is a prehistoric reminder of the true age of Utah, and it towers over the desert, spanning 75 miles and reaching a height of over 1,000 feet. This scar in the desert is the gateway to our adventure. Like many of my viewers, you are likely watching this video to gather ideas for your dream Utah trip, and with places like Moab, Lake Powell, and Monument Valley on the list, it's hard to pick where to visit. The San Rafael Swell is a little bit of everything, and being roughly the size of the state of Maine, there is a lot to see here. But like a lot of Utah's off-road trails, it is under constant threat of closure. In 2019, a large portion of the swell was designated into multiple wilderness areas, which prohibit any and all motorized traffic, even e-bikes and drones. If you are visiting, especially for the first time, I recommend you use Onyx Off-Road to plan your trip. Onyx Off-Road shows wilderness areas with a clearly defined hatch pattern, and with the private property layer active, because there is private property in the swell, You will know when you are in a safe spot to set up camp for the night. Plus, it only costs $99 a year, which is like 2 tanks of gas, so it's not that bad. Knowing when you're playing in or out of bounds is critical to keeping trails open here in Utah, and as a local, Onyx Off-Road is my go-to source for planning my adventures. To give it a try, scan this QR code or look for the link in the video description. Trust me, I know that nearly every influencer and YouTuber in the Overland space is talking about Onyx Off-Road, but I genuinely rely on it to make sure I'm playing by the strict rules set forth on Utah's trails. It's like carrying a Utah off-road rulebook in my pocket. We can't even be a mile into this canyon yet, and it already has everything you would want from a Utah trail. This little warm-up obstacle isn't much of a gatekeeper, but it is a good visual of the difference of tire size that we all have. I have 35s on the Wrangler, Rob has roughly 33s on the 4Runner, and Adam has 37s on the Gladiator. All of them are able to overcome this spot just fine, but in their own way. The real magic here is that we all have decent approach and departure angles. So the next time you think about sending me a DM about what tire size you need, maybe ask me what approach and departure angles you need. The next obstacle, however, compounds our approach angles with breakover angles. Climbing a 2-foot rock wall doesn't have to be scary or difficult. It's all about picking the right line for your vehicle. The trick is to get your rear tires elevated as quickly as possible to avoid any damage to drive shafts, fuel tanks, or any other drivetrain parts that are bolted to the bottom of your vehicle. And just like that, the group makes light work of that ledge, and we are on our way again.
Alright, when you guys get to the top of the hill, stay right. It's washed out on the left.
After hours on the slow, rocky trail, we finally find ourselves racing against the fading light, chasing camp as we race down what can only be called a dirt highway. The clouds have gathered overhead, but there's no sign of rain. Our primary concern now is the powerful winds that have spent millions of years battering this area into the canyons we see today. The group is exhausted, and the radio chatter has quieted. We're all fixated on the vast, sweeping views before us that are now slowly closing in as we push forward along the smooth, flat, and hard-packed road, heading towards the canyon's looming shadows. We have one last stop on our way to camp tonight, a rock art panel featuring both pictographs and petroglyphs. These ghostly figures are in the Barrier Canyon style with red paint and are estimated to have been painted 1500 to 4000 years ago. And in the petroglyphs pecked out by the Fremont culture somewhere between 700 and 2000 years ago. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this panel, but every time I drive this route, I make sure to stop because this is one of those things that is so special to Utah, and I love seeing it up close and in person.
The wind is just too much tonight, so we are packing up. We're gonna try and find a new spot to camp, get out of this windy situation where we can hopefully actually find some rest.
No, the whole thing was just, it was folding in on itself, and I was worried something was gonna break. And then I texted Jeremy, and he told me that inside his tent sand was just pouring in.
Oh man.
I was like, this is not worth it.
All right, well, let's go find somewhere.
Yeah.
Three cheers for a heated steering wheel.
Well, are we calling this it?
I think Rob's happy, man.
I can't see you on camera at all.
Yeah,
Like you don't exist.
you make a good blurb.
Some kind of vision in the darkness. Yeah, what do you think?
Hey man, I think it's less windy. I think we're getting a little coverage from whatever's rocks we have going on over here, but I think no matter what happens tonight, we're gonna have wind.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
We just gotta find Jeremy.
Oh, this is where we should stand. Here you go. Now you can be seen.
That's why I took myself all the way back in there. You like that?
Yeah. Just gotta find Jeremy a spot.
And clear the bed.
I mean, that's not the worst.
That won't be too flat either. And it's only 5 feet.
No,
I guess we found a spot. We just got to find a spot for Jeremy next. There's sticks everywhere.
Looks like alpine.
It was a rough night. Wind, it's like, it would tease us. It would come up super strong, and then it would go away for an hour, and then it would come back super strong, and then it would go away for an hour. And I could hear everybody's tents just whipping in the night, and then it would move the Jeep around. It was like someone was trying to wake me up by like shaking the Jeep. So, yeah, interesting night. I think we all slept in a little bit more than we thought we would because it's freezing, right? We thought we'd wake up earlier, but here we are, ready to get rolling soon. I'm easy when it comes to these Overland breakfasts. I like Greek yogurt, granola, and like just a little bit of water. I'm gonna have a Red Bull today for breakfast because I'm very tired. But yeah, that's all I do. Easy stuff. Looking forward to packing up and back on the trail. Sounds like someone's coming down the trail. The last time I explored past this camp spot was around 2018 with Mateo from Tacoma Beast and Ken Hoagland. The river was full of ice, and that trip did not go as planned. Mateo ended up blowing a bead on his rear tire, and we found ourselves lost at the bottom of a ravine and forced to navigate the flats in the snow where Mateo's Tacoma ended up finding a ditch. So, as I cross the river this morning and we make our way into the next trail network, I'm not too confident in the route.
Wow, man, that is not deep at all.
As we make our way south, the trail is well defined and nothing like the last time I was here. If you find yourself on this same track, make sure to follow the route and not the riverbed. The riverbeds out here can change with every monsoon season and may have you wandering off course without you even knowing it. Unlike yesterday's trail that was shadowed by 1,000-foot sandstone cliffs, today it is wide open views of the red rock cliffs in the distance. But just as quickly as the trail opened up, it drops down again and we're winding through a sandy wash. Lucky for us, the dirt is flat, soft, and fast, making quick time for us to reach the more technical section of the trail and the portion none of us were expecting. As we climb out of the ravine, we are staring down a rocky track that spans between us and the trail I know to camp. So let me tell a little bit of a story as we make our way through this next segment. I decided to give this video another attempt because I love this route so much and I cannot wait to do it again. While I was retracing our GPS tracks, I decided to peek at the footage that I shot to start planning on driving this route again, perhaps this upcoming summer. And as you've seen, it is just too good of a trip to let gather dust on some old hard drive. Bringing it back to life and giving it to you is what it deserves, even if it's imperfect. But even better than reviving this old video, I share all of my routes and my waypoints with my channel supporters. So if you're watching this and thinking you have what it takes to hit this route and see it in person, scan the QR code on the screen or look for the join button below this video, and not only can you gain access to this route, but my entire library of them. And if you're less inclined to hit this trail, I know it's a little bit technical and not perfect for everybody, I host quarterly camping trips with my Overland tier supporters to help you get out and meet other supporters and hit a trail that is generally less technical than what we're driving right now. Since having a baby last summer, it is the constant support of my channel supporters that has kept us afloat, and it is something I am enormously grateful for. So, to those of you who have already joined, thank you. Let's go camping. All right, as they say, what goes up must go down, and the last section of the trail is a staircase, one rocky ledge after another as we wind down the switchbacks to the canyon floor. It is slow going and brakes and springs are squeaking as we all descend the final obstacle. Finally, I turn the corner on the last switchback and catch a glimpse of that smooth, sandy wash below, which leads us to one of my all-time favorite Utah trails. – Driving under those enormous highway bridges is only one of the highlights of this trail, and another feature that is even cooler than my incredible dance moves is this naturally formed arch, and while I am no expert FPV pilot, Rob was kind enough to let me have a go with playing with his drone. This is the footage I got. And this is the footage that he got. Clearly one of us has had more practice with the FPV. Now, this spot was going to be camp for the night, but we've decided we want to drive a little bit further to get a head start on tomorrow's adventure. So we're making our way towards Goblin Valley State Park. Do you see that firewood bag? Does it look like one of those expensive bags that has a stupid price markup because it has the word Overland stamped on it? Well, guess what? It's only $40 on Amazon and happens to be one of the Amazon items I sell the most of. There's the QR code. Go get one and stop splinters and slivers from getting everywhere in your adventure mobile. Next is my bamboo camp table. There are hundreds of different styles of camp tables out there, and this one is just one from Amazon. It folds in half and is sturdy. But what I like the most about it is that it is reasonably tall, so I'm not breaking my back to cook on it. Next is the Zargis aluminum box. I don't use this anymore. As you can see, I was storing a Step 22 Stingray inside to prevent everything from rattling. And I woke up one day and realized I didn't need a box to hold my box. So I ditched the Zargis, and now I just use the Step 22 Stingrays. I love these things and have loved to see them become a staple in the industry. When I filmed this video, they were still pretty new on the market, but now I see them all over the place.
So this that I just set up is my normal setup, but I was just sent the hot tap and I want to try it. I want to play with it a little bit. So we've got 20 gallons of water in the back of Adam's truck. So we're going to change what is my normal setup and change it to a setup that includes hot water. This should be interesting. I'm actually really excited to see how this goes.
It's funny to be editing a trip from 4 years ago. There is so much that I have changed in just the way that I shoot or talk to the camera and the number of angles that I get. So today I am cursing Justin of 4 years ago for not thinking to fill the gaps visually on the story here, because it means Justin of today, me, has to narrate more. So here's the deal. I had never set up the Juka hot tap before this trip, and it was a lot of hoses, wires, and even batteries. But once it was set up, it worked great. But I do want you to know that I didn't really use it after this trip until I installed it on my Gladiator. So that means it went the entire life of the Wrangler without being used, the entire life of the Bronco without being used, and then it was finally installed into my Go Fast camper on the Gladiator. And that was purely because of the amount of space that all of these hoses and other peripherals take up. Anyway, after we set it up, we set it aside to cook dinner. And again, I only got this one shot of Adam cooking. Don't ask me why. Ask Justin of 4 years ago. Justin of today is just as mad at him as you are. Okay, with dinner done, Rob decided he wanted to use the Juka for his dishes, so he came over to hang out with us while cleaning up. And it's funny because, again, this was my very first trip with him, so it would have been just natural to even park closer to him. And anyway, it's just funny looking back on this trip. All right, I think it's time we all go to bed, and hopefully tonight we don't have to deal with the wind. Good night. Finally, a good night's rest, free from the wind. The group is anxious to get going, and both Rob and Adam beat me to the pack-up camp finish line with their rooftop tents. One thing about sleeping inside of the Wrangler is that every night I have to fully unload it, and every morning I have to pack it all back in. It isn't the end of the world, and it's an opportunity to talk with each other and to come up with a game plan for the day. All packed up, and it's time to roll. This next trail is one I would put on my Utah greatest hits list. It connects Goblin Valley to Capitol Reef National Park and features rapid terrain changes that are otherworldly. To all of my channel supporters who are looking to drive this route, my advice is to avoid it in August and September. The monsoons that roll through here are deadly. People die every single year here. And with the first half of this route following a riverbed, it is the last place you want to be when a wall of water starts flowing. Deadly conditions aside, you will love this trail. As we climb out of the ravine, we encounter my favorite portion of this trail, which is crazy to say because all of it is so awesome, but these are the Bentonite Hills. And I can't really explain the feeling, but it's just, I don't know, a cool experience driving through them. Shortly after that, the trail drops back down and we hit the water crossing. Remember just a few seconds ago when I was talking about the nasty monsoon flash floods? Well, this water crossing changes every year. Where we're crossing here now is a vertical wall of sand in 2025 and completely undrivable. In just 5 years, the river has changed so much that the water crossing is another 100 feet upstream from this spot right now. And who knows where it will be next year. With the river in the rear view, it's time for another scene change to the gray dirt of an area nicknamed Moonscapes. After just a few more minutes, we are back in red sand and right outside of Canyonlands National Park. I want to be as clear as I can right now. Flying a drone inside of the national park is absolutely, without debate, 100% illegal. Do not do it. Where we are driving now is outside of the national park, but before we cross into the park boundary, Rob will land the drone and we will be handheld from there on. Do not do it. I can't stress it enough. The law has what I will call a loophole, but it says that we can take off outside of the park and fly across the boundary so long as we also land outside of the park. If you want my unsolicited advice, don't even play that game. Avoid having your drone in any airspace above a national park, no matter your launch or landing points. Again, just don't do it. All right, end of rant. With the drone safely on the ground, we are now ready to cross the fence line into Canyonlands National Park. It's flat like the earth, am I right?
Careful, you're gonna people will believe me.
We are so ahead of schedule, I don't know what to do. We could go look at whatever Glass Mountain is, because I saw a sign for that.
You want to check out the sinkhole?
Yeah, can we get to it from here?
I'm hungry. Don't know about you guys.
Yeah, should we eat lunch? It's lunchtime.
Seems like a good place for lunch.
It's flat.
Like the earth.
I like your thinking. And so we take a lunch break. Back on the trail again, we're heading for the gypsum sinkhole. One of the memories that has stuck with me from this trip was Rob's willingness to do anything for a shot. He really wanted a drive-by and then sweeping landscape shot, and he was willing to stand out in the desert as we drove away so he could film both of those. I was being lazy and filming on an iPhone, while this guy was putting every ounce of effort into his video. Something I am now grateful for because he shared all of his footage with me so my video would feel complete. Thanks, Rob. This is the gypsum sinkhole. It looks like something straight out of Doom and ties my stomach in knots as I stand on the rim. That's a no thank you from me. At this point, we need to make a decision. Drive out the way we came in or finish this big loop that is inside of the national park and add a few more hours of driving to our day. Can you guess what we picked? Yeah, we opt for more driving. The road loops through the north portion of Capitol Reef National Park, and everything out here feels untouched. It reminds me of Monument Valley, but more green. The road eventually reaches the base of the cliff and then climbs into switchbacks above the valley, giving us an even better view of the valley below. Eventually, we reach the summit and jump out to take in one last view of the prehistoric vibe that we just passed through. We're back on the trail again, and as it descends past the national park border, the colors start to pop. I don't even need to talk here. I mean, this is just cool. Easy as that. Thanks, Rob, for this super cool drone shot of Cool Rick. I really do miss this Wrangler, and I think about where my channel would be right now if I had kept it and I didn't do that whole Bronco deal. But what has happened, happened, and at least we get this fresh Cool Rick video as if nothing had changed, right? One more water crossing, and then we are on our way to camp for the night. We woke up this morning just outside of Goblin Valley, and it was really a long day of just driving today. We decided to make our way into the Capitol Reef National Park area, and while there, realized we were just so far ahead of schedule, which is rare for me because if you watched my Pony Express series, you know that I'm always behind schedule. And right now, we're almost an entire day ahead of schedule. So when we got to Temple of the Sun and Moon, we chilled. We sat there and we just kind of ate lunch and hung out for a while, and then a couple from Seattle pulled up and we were all just kind of taking jabs like, oh, we know they're in a rental,
And you know, because it's the usual signs. It was like a Ford something. What was it? What were they driving? A Ford? It was a Ford Edge. Anyway, so they pull up, California plates, right? And they're asking us about the area and if we'd been to the Overlook, and I hadn't. And they showed us on the map that we could get from where we were to the Overlook. So we decided, hey, we got time to kill. So that's what we did. We just trekked our way around the rest of Cathedral Valley, and holy cow, I'm glad we did that. It was spectacular. Absolutely beautiful. No words. I got no words. So it was awesome, and it helped kill the amount of time we needed to kill. So we've literally just barely pulled into here, and we're just setting up. This is one of my favorite spots to camp, and in this area, this actual exact fire pit is one of my favorite spots to camp. So pretty excited we got it. Now it's time to throw down some food because I'm famished, and we're losing daylight, which isn't a bad thing when you're here because sunset here is spectacular. So I want to get food going so I can just sit and enjoy the rest of the night and figure out what we're going to do for the next 2 days. It's been a good time. Quite enjoyable. And just like that, another successful evening has been spent in the Utah Badlands. I love this area. This is just good times. I think we're going to make our way further towards Green River, Hanksville area, and look for some dinosaurs and stuff because we got some time to kill. Again, we're ahead of schedule, which is so weird for me. I'm never ahead of schedule. Rob, are you ever ahead of schedule?
Hello. No, never. We've been moving fast.
Yeah.
Someone drives like Mach 3.
Well, I mean Mach 3.5, but not here to brag. So yeah, we're just gonna pack up, get out of here. It's fun just to chill because again, we've got no rush right now, nowhere to really be. So we'll just do a little bit of exploring today, head into our final camp spot, and then before you know it, we'll be back home and in real life.
All right. Get ready to go. Let's find some dinosaurs.
Not far from camp is the trail to the dinosaur quarry. It's another colorful route through Bentonite Hills. We have no idea what to expect. None of us have ever been to a dinosaur quarry before, and the anticipation of what we'll find at the end of this road has radio chatter to a minimum.
I have a theory that dinosaurs weren't. This is stupid. We thought we would find dinosaurs out here. We were promised dinosaurs. There's not even a sign of a dig site. There's not a trail to where an old dig site may have even been. There's nothing. I feel so defeated. Drove all the way out here and just look at more desert. I mean, Utah's desert is beautiful, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to see a dinosaur or a dig site. I don't even know where to look. And it's vast. Bummer. I mean, what are we looking for? I feel like every rock I look at's a special rock, but that's only because I'm in a special place and I'm making it special in my mind when in reality, it's just rock. I really thought there'd be at least like a more regularly traveled trail or something to lead to a dig site, or yeah, I don't even need to see an actual dinosaur. Even just the dig site would be fine. Just something to show that they were here. Something more than a poster and a fence. It's almost like this is a distraction and they're really digging where there is no sign or fences. Such a bummer. Just wanted to see a dinosaur. So I guess if any of you are paleontologists and watching this, you probably feel like I'm right next to something cool, but I don't even know what I'm next to. I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. So if you are a paleontologist, the Hanksville quarry might be cool to you, but to me, I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Found it like that, I swear.
Interesting rock. I wonder if that is something.
Okay, I need to know. After all that walking around, did we find something? Was that... What is this? What am I looking at here that's stacked up on this rock? Is this a dinosaur bone? Somebody out there, please let me know. Our final trail is a long ranching road out into the middle of the desert. The drive is quiet, and after a few days of adventure and slow trails, a fast trail with only cows as obstacles has the group focus on today's camp spot. As we draw closer, the wind grows stronger, but nobody seems to want to say what we're all thinking. Maybe we take advantage of the daylight and soak in the views of this spot for a little bit, and then split up and make our separate ways home.
So this is it, the end of the line. It has been an awesome trip. Rob has been great company. If you're not following Revere Overland yet, you should. But yeah, here it is. Last stop, fighting a little bit of wind before we make our way home. And we got daylight too. I thought we'd be driving home in the dark or trying to make another night of camp work, but we were able to do it. They've got to drive all the way back to Kentucky and get back to work by Monday. So we're calling it here, and it's been a good time. So if you did like the video, then please like the video. If you have a question, leave me a comment. And if you want to hang out again, well, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Justin B. McBride.